CGTN Radio. Hear the difference.
Now the news. I'm Tian Yu. Chinese investigators say they have identified 120 victims in the crash of China Eastern Airlines flight MU5735. The identified include 114 passengers and 6 crew members. The plane crashed on Monday in Guangxi. So far, rescuers have searched areas totaling over 240,000 square meters. They're still looking for possible survivors and a second black box of the flight. Officials say they have recovered an emergency locator transmitter. This is a device installed near the flight data recorder. Investigators also say they have not detected major ingredients of either inorganic or organic explosives at the crash site. He Weiwei earlier reached the core search area and filed this report from there.
I am now at the very core side of the search operation, and this is also the central area of the search and also the crash site. You can see some pieces of the plane that have been found. Some are plastic, some are metal. Now we cannot confirm what parts they are of the plane. And this is how they work for. They gather all the parts they have found, put into plastic boxes, and they carry the boxes out for further analysis. On the slope, the search team members are still working. The slope is pretty steep, so they have to climb up there using shovels and spades and try to look for the second black box, which is still missing. We have found several orange pieces, but now we cannot confirm whether they are part of the black box or not. So the operation still goes on now.
The Chinese and Vanuatuan leaders have exchanged congratulatory messages for the 40 years of bilateral ties. President Xi Jinping hails the deepened mutual trust and fruitful cooperation between the two countries. He calls on both sides to further promote bilateral dialogue, exchange, and cooperation across the board. Tally's Obed Moses reaffirms his country's adherence to the One China policy and readiness to boost bilateral relations. Russia says the main tasks of the first stage of its special military operation in Ukraine have been completed in general. Military officials say the combat potential of the Ukrainian armed forces has been significantly reduced, and Russian forces will concentrate on the complete liberation of Donbass. Stuart Smith reports from Moscow.
This is the first general overview of how this so-called special military operation has gone in a month. The president's spokesperson is frequently asked about daily updates, but they've only been coming from the Ministry of Defense and only been focusing on, for example, specific equipment losses in Ukraine or how many kilometers of territory Russian troops have managed to take. This was a general overview about the broader strategic objectives, and given by the head of Russia's general staff, he said that the forces will now move to focus on the Donbass region. This is the region of Ukraine, self-declared separatist region, which Russia recognized as independent and sovereign from Ukraine. And so perhaps we will see a change in movements, but in the focus of the update from the general staff was that this means that the Ukrainian military forces have been considerably reduced. And for the first time, in terms of details, we had figures on the number of Russian soldiers dead and wounded. 1,351 killed in fighting, 3,825 wounded.
Russia and Ukraine have carried out the first prisoner exchange. The swap involves 50 soldiers and civilians. John Bever reports from Riga.
The Ukrainian Deputy Prime Minister said 10 captured Russian servicemen were exchanged for 10 Ukrainian servicemen. The swap was confirmed by the Russian Human Rights Commissioner. Both sides also agreed on the exchange of imprisoned civilian seamen. 11 Russians who were rescued near the Black Sea port city of Odessa were swapped for 19 Ukrainian crew members of the Sapphire rescue vessel. The Russian seamen were apparently from the tanker Millennial Spirit that was carrying 600 tons of diesel, and it was attacked at the end of February. Although the tanker was under Moldovan registration, there were Russian crew on board when it was attacked by a Russian naval vessel before ultimately being rescued by Ukrainian forces.
And that's the news. I'm Tian Yu.